The Jewish Channel's Week in Review, anti-African riots in Israel, Hasidic baseball players, Jews on Fleet Week, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. Israel's Supreme Court has issued a stinging rebuke of the Jewish state's chief rabbinate and affirmed the validity of thousands of conversions to Judaism. The status of converts to Judaism in Israel had been an open question in recent years, as an increasingly ultra-Orthodox attitude regarding conversions has taken hold within the office of the chief rabbinate. In many cases, the rabbinate has ruled invalid conversions that took place decades ago on the basis that those who converted no longer followed Orthodox interpretations of Jewish law and retroactively nullified marriages and the Jewish status of children as well. This has had massive repercussions for Israeli society, where one's status as a Jew has a significant impact on one's ability to marry, divorce, attend schools, and more. The Israeli Supreme Court chastised the Rabbinical Court of Appeals for failing to overturn decisions by lower rabbinic courts that invalidated old conversions. The verdict declared, "The Rabbinical Court of Appeals rode roughshod over basic procedural rules and the principles of natural justice. It demonstrated contempt for the special conversion courts, and above all, it hurt and did a shocking injustice to the petitioners and their children." In another example of Israeli government institutions changing the tone on religious recognition in Israel, the Attorney General has announced that the state will fund the salaries of non-Orthodox rabbis for small communities that want them. Israel provides rabbinic funding to regional councils and farming communities, but only for Orthodox rabbis. The Attorney General's decision won't change that, but will provide funding for non-Orthodox rabbis through different means. The rabbis will be referred to by the state not as rabbis, but as, quote, community leaders, and their salaries won't be funded through the religious councils, but by direct government assistance to local authorities. The decision will also not affect communities in large cities. The announcement comes with the information that the state has already approved the funding of 15 non-Orthodox rabbis through this mechanism. But news of increased religious harmony in Israel was matched by racist violence. At a rally last week calling for the expulsion of Africans seeking asylum in Israel, rhetoric spilled over into violence against Africans nearby, as well as the looting of shops and shattering of car windows in the African community. 17 people were arrested for their role in the violence. Meanwhile, outside of Israel, 4 Israeli officers were indicted in Turkey over their role in the Israeli raid on a Turkish ship seeking to break the blockade of Gaza last year, in which 9 Turks were killed. The indictments have little practical effect for the 4 Israelis who won't be extradited and are unlikely to want to visit Turkey anytime soon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is thought to have been responding to the indictments when he told an audience that when it comes to Israeli soldiers, quote, "The state of Israel will always stand at your side, everywhere and every place. You defended us, we will defend you. That is an important rule." Jewish soldiers who had a better week were those Americans on leave during Fleet Week in New York City. Meredith Gansman reports.
While you may have headed to the beach to celebrate Memorial Day, thousands of members from the Marines, Coast Guards, and the Navy have docked in NYC. That's right, it's Fleet Week, and I hope you brought your sea legs because you're coming aboard with me for a look at Jewish life in the Navy.
During Fleet Week, 3,000 hull ships came into port in New York's harbors. 1,000 Navy service members are stationed on the USS Wasp, but only 5 identify as Jewish. Service member Ryan Marriott is one of them.
Well, there's a few of us on the ship. Usually the bigger ships, there's more than just 1 or 2. I think my last ship was smaller, as a destroyer. There were only 2 of us on board. This ship we have about 5 or 6. We get to do...
5 or 6 is a big number.
Yes, I've never had that many at one command.
Wow.
Considering that only about 1% of the military identifies as Jewish, 5 Jews on 1 Navy vessel is a large number. For service member Kanan Goldstein, being among the few and the proud is preparation for her future career aspirations.
I actually want to be a rabbi one day, so my plan is to get out, go to rabbinical school, come back in as a rabbi, as a chaplain, and so I love teaching people, and it's the one thing I think would be something that I would never have to work at. It would just be easy, and it's really important to me that I let everybody know, as much as I can about how wonderful it is to be Jewish and how important it is to me.
This year is the 200th anniversary of the War of 1812, and Rear Admiral Herman A. Shalansky remembered one of his favorite Jewish naval heroes, the first Jewish Navy Admiral, Uriah P. Levy, who brought historical change to the Navy by abolishing the punishment of flogging, which he considered inhumane.
Back then, obviously, there was a lot of prejudice against Jews, and he was one of the few that had joined the United States Navy, though Jews have been in the Navy and in every major war since our revolution. But Uriah stood firm, and never hid the fact that he was Jewish.
To see how these service members managed to keep Jewish life afloat at sea, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. While we've seen an influx of Jewish stars in Major League Baseball in recent years, none of those Jews has been Hasidic. But as Christian Needon reports, that possibility isn't entirely unlikely.
A new comedy film about an Orthodox yeshiva that fields a baseball team had its New York City premiere this week and received a warm reception at the JCC of Manhattan. The Yankles is the creation of siblings and production partners David and Zev Brooks, who were on hand for the packed screening, and they told TJC how they came up with the idea for their film.
We were sitting around Shabbos table eating our Shabbos lunch, and we thought of, I had thought of a camp counselor that I had as a kid named Yankel, and we wanted to make something involving baseball, and it suddenly just came to us, a yeshiva ball team called the Yankles.
And we thought of the film The Chosen. The Chosen by Chaim Potok was adapted into a film, and the opening sequence there shows a yeshiva team coming out onto a blacktop around 1947 playing another Jewish high school kids. And the visual impact of seeing these yeshiva students with payas wearing black and white was just it was stunning. It was very entertaining. So we thought, what if we develop a movie with the yeshiva baseball team? And of course, calling it the Yankles was a natural fit.
It fit perfect. And to us, we knew, that there hadn't been any baseball movies that particularly involved Orthodox Jews.
They found that the world was indeed ready for such a film. Showing the Yankles on the festival circuit led to a big break for their small films distribution.
We showed the film at the Dallas Jewish Film Festival, and it got some coverage from the Dallas Morning News, a reporter named Michael Granberry, big fan of the film. So he ran like a front-page article on the film at the entertainment section for that paper.
Granberry suggested the brothers email Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks and Magnolia Pictures.
He said Mark's Jewish, he supports, causes in the community. So I figured an email to Mark Cuban, come on, I didn't think I'd get anywhere. But Michael Granberry was like, no, he responds to emails. So I sent him an email, and within a half hour I had an email back from Mark Cuban saying, I'd like to see this movie. So I sent him the film, and he told me he enjoyed it. And then fast forward, I recontacted him a little while later and said, hey, look, we're still looking for distribution. And within, say, 24 hours, I had an email from the head of the home video department from Magnolia Pictures. So we're very excited. We were able to work a deal with them, and they're releasing it on June 5th all over the home video market in the USA, Canada, and the Caribbean Basin.
To hear more from the directing and producing brothers behind the Yankles ahead of its release on home video on June 5th, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.